I want to thank everybody for joining us today, for breaking bread with us and staying to be a part of the conversation. My name is Jessica Smith. I'm the Chief of Staff at the American Federation of Teachers, and it's my pleasure to moderate today's policy conversation, which is sponsored by the Albert Shanker Institute and the American Federation of Teachers, or AFT. We hold these conversations under the banner of Reclaiming the Promise of Public Education. And today's topic is there a pension crisis? Certainly, that conversation is in line with our goal of reclaiming the promise of public education, reclaiming the promise of economic opportunity for all, and reclaiming the promise of retirement security. Retirement security is a key issue for the over 6.9 million jobs at a state and local level, those who hold those jobs, found in elementary and secondary education, teachers, professionals, think aides, librarians, audiologists, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, support staff, and 2 million workers in higher education. And of particular note, I want to add the 1.4 million workers in health services, since while many of you may not know it, the AFT is the second largest nurse union in the country, in addition to representing those who work in education, and we also represent public employees. As a union serving students and families, the public sector, we are close to communities. Our members see firsthand the effects of retirement insecurity, not only for themselves, but they see parents who sacrifice their time that should be spent with their children. They see them working 2, 3, sometimes even 4 jobs in order to make ends meet now and to save a little for the future. They see families who pay the price of cashing out retirement accounts in order to pay unexpected dental bills. They see young workers lured, their colleagues lured by what seem to be immediately available pots of money in the so-called pension accounts, money that they think can be used now, and young people who assume that sometime in the future they'll deal with their retirement security. They also see seniors who cannot make it on their Social Security alone. From these experiences and more, we at the AFT dedicate ourselves to reclaiming the promise of public education, the promise of economic opportunity and retirement security for all, and it is in that spirit that we launch today's conversation, Is there a pension crisis? A few housekeeping items first. First, there's an infomercial which Leo Casey has required me to give, and that is for next month's conversation. It's entitled Opportunities to Learn Equity in American Education, Looking Forward, Looking Backward. The panelists include Bruce Baker of Rutgers University, Lisa Delpit of Florida International University, who's been widely known to write about education of children of color, and is the author of the well-known text Other People's Children. Bob Hughes of New Visions for Public Schools in New York City, who was a lawyer on the historic Campaign for Fiscal Equity case, and now leads an organization working with scores of New York City schools, serving communities with high poverty, and John Jackson, president of the Schott Foundation. So put this on your calendars now, Wednesday, April 8th, same time, 12 to 2. Next, I want to just address the way that we'll do this panel. So first, we're going to hear from our panelists, and then we want you to join the conversation. We'll take your questions. Vicki Thomas is here. She'll be collecting, for those of you in the audience, she'll collect index cards where you can write your questions, and then I'll pass those questions on to the panelists. You can direct your questions at one or all of the panelists, and we encourage you to do that. Vicki, would you identify yourself so people know this is Vicki? And by the way, let's take a moment to thank Vicki for the tremendous work she does in putting these together. Thank you. For those of you who are following this as we live stream it, you may put your questions forward on Twitter, and those will also be brought to me, and I will try to get as many questions as possible in the time that we're allowed. The Twitter hashtag is #PensionCrisis. So, moving to the panel discussion. As you know, today's topic has been hotly debated since the Great Recession. Elected officials seeking to diminish the pensions of public sector employees have argued that there is indeed a crisis and that unsustainable pensions have created a fiscal crisis for states and municipalities. But public pension funds have generally recovered, and the effects of the recession, leaving only states that have deliberately underfunded their employer contributions, such as New Jersey and Illinois, with long-term problems. Employees who have paid their pension contributions, and we actually like to think of those pension contributions as deferred wages, they've made their pension contributions while some states and municipalities have shirked their share. At the same time, we've got a growing pension crisis in the private sector, and we hope that the panelists will help address that. Certainly, we've got some ideas about that, and we'd like to work with all in determining how to ensure that there's retirement security for all. Our panelists will offer their views on the current state of American pensions and retirement security. They'll give us some of their solutions for building a sustainable pension system that will ensure that all of us, including everyone in this room, by the way, since this is kind of a personal issue for all, that we all have a secure and dignified retirement. You will not find us driving those rental car vans at the age of 75, right? We have 4 speakers to address today's topic. In your packet, you'll find much more detailed information on all of them, but I'm going to introduce all of them at once, and then we'll turn it over to them. First, David K. Johnston teaches at the School of Law at Syracuse University. Previously, he worked at the New York Times, where he won the Pulitzer Prize for his investigative reporting. He is particularly noted for his work on inequality in the American economy, including reports of the tax system, how the corporate behemoth Enron avoided paying any taxes. Next to David is Chad Alderman. He's an associate partner at Bellwether Education Partners, where he has worked since 2012. Previously, Alderman was a policy advisor in the Office of Planning, Evaluation, and Policy Development at the U.S. Department of Education, and he has written often on the pensions of teachers. Teresa, she actually showed me what her sister, was it?
My sister-in-law.
Her sister-in-law, the 7th grade teacher. So is this a teachable moment?
Yeah, so it's Gil like the fish, R, and Ducci like the bag.
So Ghilarducci.
Ghilarducci.
I want everybody say that together.
Ghilarducci.
Excellent. All right, now she's not only a teacher, but a labor economist and a nationally recognized expert in retirement security. She's a professor of economics at the New School for Social Research, where she heads up the Center for Economic Policy Analysis. Her most recent book is When I'm 64, The Plot Against Pensions and the Plan to Save Them. And finally, Dan Pedrati, co-director of the Center for Workers' Benefits and Capital Strategies right here at the AFT. The center organizes worker pension funds and capital into a voice for corporate accountability and retirement security. He's worked with the AFT, others in the AFT, to take on hedge fund managers who seek to invest the public employees' pension funds, while at the same time they work to undermine those very same defined benefit pensions of teachers, nurses, and others who work in public education, attacking public education on the one hand while making money off of the pension funds of public employees on the other. This work has given Dan a well-earned and deserved notoriety among these hedge fund managers. I don't think he's at the top of their who I'm inviting to dinner list. So I think with that,